to Material Musings, where the fabrics tell their tales. Eco-dyed colors from the garden, slow stitches where the heart exhales. Painting cloth and weaving stories, wall hangings blooming bright. Come create with Amanda, where your creativity takes flight.
Well, hello and welcome to 2026 and the first Material Musings of the year. If you're new here, my name's Amanda and I'm a mixed media and fibre artist. If you are not new and a regular visitor to my channel and this episode, then welcome back. I hope you've all had a brilliant start to your new year, January, and all the things, the beautiful, wonderful things that you're going to do, and the impact that through the work that you do, the things that you're inspired by, and the steps that you take, that you impact the world that we live in. And there are so many things going on that, you know, we need to take a step and think. The motorbike, but yeah, it's even that, like in that kind of the revving and the it's not really the urgency, but we have to approach everything that we do with clarity, with vision and determination and grit. Grit. I don't normally use that word in my speeches or talks. Anyway, I've got a bird who has given birth had two chicks, and you may hear them in this episode, but she's just come back. Yeah, you're gonna hear it. Listen. So it just sounds like one. Oh, it looks like she just... And then Cole. Can you see him? And the ordering that needs to take place. Sit down. Sit down. I've told him that he has to be mindful of the birds, because they do bring so much joy to the garden, the bird song, just to watch them really, and to know that they feel comfortable enough to you know, have their young and live in the garden. And it's such a lovely feeling. Anyway, so to get on with what we're going to be talking about, we're looking at where we've got with the Kawandi. This is the longest it's ever taken me, but I haven't really focused fully on it over the past couple of weeks, or the week, and other things have just taken front seat, and you know how it is. So we're going to be looking at that, but we're also going to be looking at accessories. She'd come back. Sit down. I'm not competing with you. Sit. You're frightening them, Cole. Okay, so I had to calm him down. I don't know if you can see him there. Anyway, so I haven't yet chosen the project that I wanted to do today or this month. So I will be looking through. I've still got loads of unfinished projects, so that you may have seen some. Yeah, you've probably seen some of them. But yeah, just showing you maybe even the techniques that I would use to kind of bring them to a close this side of the year. And I wanted to look at maybe accessories that you could make, things that you make, sort of things that I've made with clay, fabric, and I will show you how I do one of them, and it's using recycled material. And once you finish, they can look so lovely. So we'll look at that, but first we're going to look at this container that I have with these things that I've been making, and sometimes when I'm working, I start making things. That's enough, Lol. Leave it. That's enough, or you come out. Come, sit. It's not chicken. So technically it is, but it's not. It's a not pigeon. Sparrow. They're sparrow-like birds. Anyway, so we're going to look at that, and I'll work on one and show you. So these are useful to be able to attach onto, say, fabric pieces, and I've attached it, say, to journals. It's this thing here. So attach them to journals, so they have a number of uses in your fabric, and you know, like creative projects. It's not just for fabric. And we'll also look at some other stitch projects that I've got going on. I have been working with my art foamies and using them on fabric, so every now and again I would like to get some of those things to completion in other projects. But this one, as you can see, with the Kawandi, I've used the art foamy, and then I've extended it. So my figure that I've used, which is also an art foamy, I've extended it. So let's get to the table. So let's get on, and we'll just look at some of the things that I've been working on and that I'm reintroducing myself to, because I haven't gone into this bin for quite a while. And you can see all my storage behind me. That's some of the fabric. This is all fabric. We've got beads in this corner here, but larger fabric, and then smaller pieces, some really small, and experimenting wool and things like that. Okay, so and I've got a new little thing that this is sitting in, so I can whiz you around the space. And yeah, it's about tidying up as well. A couple of weeks ago I did sort through my larger fabrics, which are in 2 really large bins. I repaired the bins because I hadn't been able to get some bigger containers, and yeah, gave everything a wash, aired out, refolded, reintroduced myself, thought about some projects. And sometimes that's all you really have time for, but it's an actual useful exercise, because you know, it's just a nice feeling, especially when you know that you've bought these fabrics and you had ideas for them, and when you've got time, if you set it up properly, when you've got time, you'll be able to go back and start some projects. So, okay, let's get on to the overhead. Okay, here we are. So, yeah, I think I'm a bit further. I've done some more stitches around here, and I'm going to be, you know, doing the whole of this. And yesterday I was doing this area, and yeah, just trying to keep it as straight as possible, so that the front is straight, the back is just going to be look at the back. That's how the back is. But yeah, there's nothing I can do about it. This is what you get when you are not working on proper surfaces. Like I was doing it on my lap in the car. Now there's nothing wrong with doing stitching or whatever in there, but if it's like a project like this that you really want it to have a polished finish, then you don't do that. But when we look at the front, yeah, it's a lot flatter. And what's going to happen as I do all the stitches, as I stitch it in here, this bit is going to be flatter, yeah. And even if there are a few, you know, bits that are buckling, it's going to be minimal because like as you can see here, but then on the reverse it's a different story. But all I do with that is just add another back in, if you know, or it could be framed or whatever. And then the only other issue, again, because I didn't stitch this side high enough, when I was stitching this I noticed that, you know, this bit didn't quite meet, and so I started pulling it down without even thinking. And yeah, so this side here is slightly lower, but yeah, it's just for me, and it's a good way to get this was my first bigger kawandi, and you know, I could even disguise this by putting a series of beads here, you know, or not. It's maybe a good talking point. Oh, you know, yeah, it was meant to be like this. This is the passage of time, and how you can spin it. And yes, how, you know, sometimes if you're not focused you can go on a slippery slope down, or this is when you allow ease in your life, you know, it just flows like that. So I'm fine with it. I just really want to, it's a nice start in terms of combining kawandis with, see it's quite pronounced here, kawandis with fabric pieces. And then the other thing I thought I would do was create bodies for these figures. I think I mentioned it before, but I'm even feeling that even more now. So create a body. So this is incorporated in her dress like that, and so you wouldn't really kind of notice it, and then you could put something else, another figure there, but that's again to play. So I will be, when we come back next week, I will be a lot further along, and I really love this colour thread. I think it's called taupe, and it's a crochet thread that I've been using, and I double it. So yeah, and then, you know, beads, again, there's still quite a lot to do, so I'll just be steadily working my way through, because I'm seeing more things that I want to do and things that I said that I would do, like I was going to do couching around the face, and I want to add some more detail to the face, so I'll be doing that, those stitches. Yeah, and just enjoying it, and maybe this is the hobby, the bit that the activity that is something that you just continue alongside everything that you're doing. But yes, that is this. Did I tell you the measurements? As I said, this is my biggest one. So it is 20 by 26. Yeah, so that is, yeah, like a big canvas. So I'm just going to continue enjoying to stitch this until it comes to a point where I feel I've done enough. But I'm still going to be doing other projects, yeah, so it's just going to be, this doesn't have to be finished. I'm not doing it for anything in particular but my own satisfaction. Okay, let's have a quick look at some of these things in here, and I'll tell you how some of them are made. One of the things I did find is this. So I had bought it from an artist, and I then went on, can you see? Come. I then went on to get some seeds, and then I planted them in the garden. So now I've got 5 trees, but I've kept them low. There's one that I keep at, because it can grow like 40-50 feet, yeah? But there's one that I've kept that's probably, yeah, about 20 feet. But I, keep the others to a particular height, and the one that's I've let grow, that's the one that's produced the seeds. So I've now got the seeds. Seeds are very hard, and you'll probably need a very fine drill to make the holes in them. Yeah, but that's that. So here are some of that's just made out of clay, but it's these ones. So what I've done is make them out of clay and fabric, and then I use a specific hardener on them. But these are really nice ideas. These are really nice things that you can make and then add to creative projects, and I just love them. And then I've taken these as well, so I'll show you what these are. I'll show you, let's just take out all of these bits. So I made loads of them, and I hadn't had an idea of what I wanted to do with them, so they've just sat in this thing. I still don't have an idea of what I want to do with them, but I thought I would share them with you. And just look at some of the things that you can cover and yeah, use in your creative projects. Okay, so the other thing, oh, I didn't realise I had so many. And then more of the, oh, these are earrings. Oh wow. Oh, okay, girl. I totally forgot I had them. Wow. And then I think a friend had also gifted me. Wow, so they're gonna get a wear for sure. Yeah. I've had this issue with metal or gold or silver on my skin, and I sometimes often get a rash on my neck, just where the jewelry's touched. Also, if I've got another piece of jewelry, like say this particular piece, so this is silver, but if that touches, you know, when you put it on, it will touch your chest, and wherever it's touched, it will give me a, you know, starts to irritate my skin. Okay, so let's just look at these, and these is what I wanted to do something with. Yeah, so yeah, so clay, well, it's an air dried clay combined with the fabric, and then what I've done is add these markings, and it almost looks like, you know, it's all the same, but we've got African fabric here and then the bits here, and I really like the way they turned out. And one of the things that I wanted to do with them was to make like a kind of a necklace, you know, a large necklace, and it's double-sided, so you know, you can decide which one you want to present when you're wearing it. Yeah. And then this one here, I just love, they're just so gorgeous. Even if I say so myself. And then I'd made quite a few of these, and I think I've got some next door as well. So they were like, they could be paperweights, they could go onto a project. Again, this could be something that you, a necklace, but I needed to think about how I would, after I'd made them, then it was just like, oh, so how's it going to be a necklace? What, I need to put a hole somewhere. So that's those. And then these smaller ones I'd made, they're fairly light. I guess they could be Like those two are light enough to be earrings, but they're all different, so no two are the same. So it wouldn't be like a pair, but you know, or they could just be small necklaces that could be joined together. So I'm still thinking about what I could do with them. And then the other thing I'd started doing was, well, what if I wrap it with wire? And that's all I did with that one. And then I found other things like small containers, and they could be wrapped. This is handmade paper. Could be wrapped and painted. These are air dried clay, resin, and you could get, that's a nice looking container. It could hold something in there. It did have a screw on top, but I put this rope around it, and so that sealed it. But that's something that, you know, I make these things and I follow the threads of inspiration and then think about how I'm going to use them afterwards. But I always do like to make more than one of a thing, so and that gives you a chance to play about with them. And then I was taking some rocks. That's the other thing I like rocks. And so I thought, well, what if you tried wrapping these rocks and creating jewellery from them? You can get some really nice shaped rocks, and the way they feel as well. And yeah, just wrapping them in fine wire, but you'd need to wrap it so again you've got a way to be able to wear it. And this particular one was a rock that I had an engraving tool, and I tried to actually carve into it. It was very hard, and this was as much as I'd managed to do. Yeah, so this is a rock that's been covered with burlap and painted. It's very heavy, too heavy for an earring, but they can be paperweights, it can be jewellery, a necklace, add in leather to it, and I could come in and do some more kind of metallic work on there. I've got these metallic, they're ink markers, and but they can go on anything, so maybe I'll experiment with those. And then there's this is the insert for, I have like that bandage material and I use it in some of the pieces, some of the sculptures. And so this is the middle, and it was just like, gosh, I don't want to throw these away. How can I reuse them? So one of the ways is wrapping them with fabric, and then this one was painted. Got some more here. This is the beginnings of fabric and cord. This one I tried to enclosed it in fabric and stitched it, and was thinking about how it could then be used in a project. I'm not too keen on that one. And then I found some burlap and I started stitching with the beads, and I actually like this look, and as I say, I have used them in other projects. So we're going to do a little experiment, because I'm looking now at, I've got this wool that is this fluffy, so that actually might go quite nicely, and then it can be stitched, and then you can add beading. Yeah, so shall we just experiment? So it's similar to this one. once you've wrapped it, it can be anything that you want it to be. Yeah? So all you do, and I've got some beads in here. These are the ones that never got put away. Ooh, these are pretty. They're very pretty, aren't they? This was a really pretty necklace, which I haven't dismantled yet. So, unfortunately, yeah, I can't wear this on my skin because there's too much metal. Anyway, so we take this and we're just gonna do a knot. And you might want to, because this is a wool and it can slip, you might want to stick it down, because you don't want it riding up. Yeah, like just like that. So I'm gonna get my glue gun, we'll turn it on, and we'll prep this, and I might even use some of these beads on there in some way. Okay, right, and the other thing I found is some paper beads that I'd made. You know, you could fill, once you've added the thread. I've also found some wire, some bronze looking wire. Yeah. Okay, so be very careful with the glue gun. I have so many mini accidents with them. So all I want to do is fill up here with a bit of glue, and then I'm going to add this in there and on the glue, and I need something to push it down, and so I'll probably use this. Okay, I think my gun is ready and waiting. Okay, so fairly quickly, and then what I'll do is wrap some of it around the where I'd put the glue, and then I can press down, and then some of that should stick. So then all you want to do is continue wrapping and all the way down. Yeah. So I could add some just even on the edges there, so that when it goes round and touches, it's going to stick. Like so. You don't want to go ahead of yourself too far because it dries fairly quickly. I love experimenting. It's just like, oh dear. But that's the way that you know, like a lot of the accessories and things that I've been using have come out of an experiment that it didn't quite fit what I was making, what I was, as I say, I was just experimenting, so I didn't have anything set in mind. But then once you've made it and you again play about with your supplies, you know your supplies, so you work with them, then you know you get some really lovely things that you can incorporate. And that's what it's about, isn't it? So I love this fluffy. I'd never thought of, because I love the fluffiness. What you don't want is to put too much glue there. You just enough to kind of hold it, and then you're going to go around it a few more times with your with the wool. And what you can do is like crochet and add. So you can crochet a length, you know, a line, and then add it around this, you know, so you can wrap it a few times, backwards and forwards. And the other thing that you could have done is put a loop in there and then wrapped it so that you can hang it or whatever, but that's fine. So I'm going to continue maybe a few more times and see how big it's going to be and whether I can start adding some stitching through there. And maybe some beads, or some of these beads, they can be stuck on or they can be stitched on. Probably stitched on. Okay, so now I've got it to this. What I'm going to do is start adding some beading. And I'm just going to take some large beads. I'm going to take a reasonable length. I don't know how much I'm going to be needing, so I might not even need all of this. Let me come out a little bit. And I've got a large needle. It's got I think this is like an upholstery needle. It's got like a flat point there. And I'm just going to add this on and then take the needle through parts of where the length of here. Okay, so this is extremely long. I'm going to cut it in half. I really don't need so much. And if I need more, I can... Okay, so the idea is just to say find some of these beads. They've got quite large holes. They're paper beads, and I have put glitter on them, and then I take the needle back in and then just continue, so it gets covered in these paper beads. Now if you've got other beads, you know, wooden beads, whatever beads you've got, you could technically do something like this. And you don't even have to, like if you've got pens, like you want to recycle, say, a pen like this, you do the same thing. You wouldn't have the ridges, but you know, you attach it, glue it down, and then wrap it, and then you can start adding additional jewelry elements to decorate. So I've gone in with the big beads, but I can also come back and get some seed beads and add it as well. I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but it's going to come in handy for something. And even if it doesn't, it's not, you know, it can go on as a tree decoration if, like, you know, you really, or it just goes into that, that pile of, it took me so long to, it can go into that pile of other things that are useful. Okay, so that's it so far. And I can come in with any other colours that I want. I'm just going to tie this off, so I'm going to go through this a few times with the needle and take it in different directions. And so when I do cut it, it won't matter that it's not, it's gone through enough times to be able to hold itself. put it up here. And again, yeah, it's such a nice fluffy wool. Okay, so I'm going to just tie this off a few times. Okay, and I can leave a little bit hanging, like you could have like tassels, or you know, I could make like a tassel. So we put it through a few times like that. So we've got a little tassel there. Okay, I'm going to get another, do I want to add some wire? This is like really soft wire. Ooh, yeah. It looks like it's a lovely contrast. Let's come in. It's a lovely contrast with the pink colour, and then you've got the kind of bronzy colour with the paper beads. And there were some loose beads here. Is that? That looks like, I think I might have made some clay balls. Yeah, that's that. Okay, but there are some beads here. That's not bead. So we can put those away. Put these away for now. But I've got this loose that I can cut some bits off. I might have some tiny beads, like I've got this that I could potentially add. It's attached to wire anyway, so what I was probably doing was either making some sort of earring or something, and I've attached it to wire, threaded the beads, and I can thread that on or through the paper bead. Does that come through? Yeah. Or I can wrap it. But I'm thinking I'll do something with the... Oh, and there's even this one that's loose that could be wrapped. And you know, you've got these bits of jewelry or beads or whatever that you're just not using. So let's see about this. Let's see about wrapping this. So I can take it through, see if it can fit through, and I will do a knot in that so that it will hold, or a kind of a knot. I won't cut it, because then what I could also do is add some loose beads on the end and then fold it over with my tool. So we've got that there. Maybe I'll twist it a bit just to tighten it. Okay, so I've got the first bead on. and I'll wrap it round like that. If I can get it through, I'll take it under some of the thread. I can use this to help me go deeper under the thread itself, because it's quite, yeah, that's better. There, like that. So we've got our first bead, and I'm thinking I've got the first bead and maybe some smaller bits, so that means I have to get my beads out. Or what I would do is go in my everything's container and see what beads I've got in there. So in my everything's container, it's all the stuff that you haven't had a chance to put away, and it kind of just sits on the desk. So what I will do is see if I can add some smaller beads that are just hanging around, some silver beads. So think about the things that you're holding on to, and you know, that's not even, that's a button, but it's got a lovely colour to it. Yeah, so the everything's container then gets used up. You know, sometimes I say to myself, okay, I can only get stuff from here. Or like do a project where, yeah, okay, you're just using these things. And then, I mean, even that collection of beads there. And then I want to run this through under the thread, just to give it some hold. So I'm going to get the needle again and just see where it wants to end naturally, and just see if I can push the needle under that part where the thread is and bring the wire through. Yeah? We don't want the wire to bend up, we want it to be as straight as possible, but taut. Yeah? So I can add another one of those black beads that I've got here. Can even fit the needle through, which is good. So I've got another one here, which I can then take the wire around the top. So I'm pushing it through the top there. Yeah. And then I might bring it down here. So let's get some, see what other random beads we can add. And you don't have to use everything, you know, I mean, obviously you can think about coordinating the colour and so I need to take it off the needle for a minute so that I can add some of these square beads, and then I'll give you a look. button. I could use that. See, you can get a whole, just use everything. And it's got a range of things, small things, jewellery, broken beads. I'm going to push this through. And as I'm making it, I'm thinking maybe of some projects, or I'm thinking of maybe making another one. Because if you've got two, it's easier to decide what to do with two than it is to just one. So we've got that there. I think it's bent, that's why it's not sitting how I'm thinking it should sit. Yeah, it's got a little bend there. Okay, and I have to be careful to not pull it too tight, otherwise it could break, and we don't want that to happen. Okay, so I've got one more of these black beads I'm going to put there. So I'll put it right there, push the needle through. Let's just see exactly where it's going to be going. So I'm going to put it there, and I'm going to push the needle through at that spot, and then get some more of these beads on. And I think that will probably be the final lot I'll put on. So I've got this one. What else have I got in here? I don't want to use, I've got some like tiger's eyes, but I just want to use the ones that are just randomly, it seems as if they're on their own, but they're not. There's a whole container load of these beads. It's not tiger's eyes, but it's kind of got that shimmery thing in there. Let me use this wooden bead. My fingers. Okay. Alright, let me swap these round. It's got gold there. So again, it doesn't have to color coord, because it's your everything's container, and you're just using everything in there and seeing what can be utilized in your project. So I'm going to take this through the top. There isn't a specific way to do it. I just know that I want to tie it off now, and I've come back to the top where that other piece is. I'm going to need the needle to get me through. There's the other piece that I was going to potentially put some small beads on. I'll still see if I can find some. Okay, so let's come in a little bit and you can see. So all I've done is the bits that were hanging off the end. Oh, that looks interesting, doesn't it? The bits that I had hanging off the end, I've just threaded some beads there, and I can just put it close there. I haven't decided what I want to do with them yet, but I can just leave them there. So, and then I've also got the tassel that I can use. So from just a plastic element, recycled, you can make something that looks really pretty with the stuff that you have. So that's one of them. And as I say, you can wrap it simply and then add beading and, you know, a fabric behind it. So you've got different looks that you can then create, or just keep it, you know, raw and quite plain, with this has just been wrapped with burlap and some thread. Yeah? So that's something to get on with. Look in your, if you've got an everything's drawer or container that you, this is stuff that I should have put away, but I have it here on the desk so that I can, you know, just put these things in there quickly. Although these weren't actually in there, but they can go in there now. The beads. So what I'd probably do with this is dismantle it, and then I've got the beads and the elements that I can use. But it's a nice way to create new pieces that have, you know, a different look, is using some of the supplies that you wouldn't really think of using, and makes the most of them. And then you've got elements that will go onto a larger project. So with that and the Kawandi, we're going to see you another time, and I hope that that's been inspiring for you to think about some of the things that you have around you. Go shopping in your supplies and look at things in a new perspective and see what you could potentially do with them. So take care for now, and I'll look forward to seeing you again.
Painting cloth and weaving stories, wall hangings blooming bright. Come create with Amanda, where your creativity takes flight.